I am very glad to host today Stanislav Strilets, photographer from Ukraine, currently joining me from Kiev. Stanislav, welcome.
Yeah, nice to see you guys.
Usually, what I'm question, which I'm always asking my friends in Ukraine, or when I can talk with someone from Ukraine, were you surprised on the February of 2022?
Oh yeah, a lot. Because you know what, this the strangest moment of this war was for maybe 95% of all Ukrainians. We didn't believe, we didn't believe that it could happen. Although the rest of the world knew and was convinced and was sure that it was all about to happen, but Ukrainians could not believe it. I was among them because, for me, still I think that Europe already lives in that stage of its development that when wars are almost impossible. So the war is the like complete madness is impossible in Europe. So I was wrong. I was completely wrong.
Yeah. I remember the first revolution, which was in Kiev in 2004, when
Mm-hmm.
Yushchenko was elected eventually.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember I was in Kiev all this period. And one thing which was, I don't know, strange, but was very nice. And in Ukraine, that like you had for 1 week almost, you had no authority in Kiev. Like police did not
Mm-hmm.
work, anything. And still, it was peaceful, quiet. No shops were robbed in the center of Kiev. Everything was
Mm-hmm.
like functioning. And I was saying, wow, it's such not a violent environment. And even if there is a disagreement on very major topics, still it's very peaceful. So
Mm-hmm.
what came after that, even for me, was non logical. And I remember that many people in Israel were also convincing me that Russia is about to attack Ukraine. And I even had an expert from Israel intelligence, and we were talking about 10 days before the war started, and they were
Mm-hmm.
showing me the satellite images and saying me, Alex, the Russian army is about to attack. We see all this clear on the images. And I was
Mm-hmm.
not convinced. I said, no, they just want to pretend. But I couldn't believe that large scale war, and war when Russia will try to take over Kiev, and to try to
Mm-hmm.
conquest the Ukraine was for me non-possible. So, Stanislav, what have you been doing before the war?
So before the war, I worked as the commercial photographer in a huge studio. So mostly I shot commercials, shoot portrait photography, like business portraiture, also editorial, also some advertising shootings. And, it was, I was completely engaged into this creative process, like 24 hours a day. So I was totally in the creative process and could not believe that one day a few rockets will land very close to my studio, and it was terrible. It was terrible. So after the war broke up, my life completely changed. That the same as lives of all other Ukrainians. We always say, as my grandmother told me, she always measured time before the Second World War and after the Second World War. Okay, she thought, oh, it happened before the war. So it's like before Jesus Christ and after Jesus Christ. Okay, so the same here. Now we speak about any occasion like it happened, whether it happened before the war or after the war.
So, in fact, nothing prepared you to be a war photographer, a reporter from the
No,
front lines.
no, nothing. And actually, speaking about genres of photography, documentary was very far from me because I got used to a static portraiture in the studio when you tell everyone what he or she should do when you stage everything. But war photography is complete chaos. You have to act in a very dangerous, quickly changing situation. It's completely different mindset and way of living. Completely different.
So, how you got to the front lines? And you got with the camera, not with the rifle, right?
Yes, yes. Actually, uh, I go there because I started working with a few American war photographers. Okay, so they hired me as the local producer, a man who will help them to coordinate all over the front line, who knows languages, who know how to how to implement their ideas, because it's quite hard for foreigners, to find themselves on the front line of the very, very dangerous and violent war. So I started working with them. I spent with them quite a long time. So it took me around 1 year or even more to understand how everything works, how do they work, what kind of people they are, what kind of rhythm do they have, how everything works. And the main question was, where am I in the process? Okay, so it was the most difficult question. But after I gained some experience on the front line, I decided to quit working with other people and started working like as a freelancer. At the moment, I'm more focused on writing rather than on taking pictures, because for some reason I found that I can, unfold my talent more in the best way while writing, while just, making this atmosphere, sharing this atmosphere in events with other people, with the word, with the help of the word.
What is the atmosphere? Is you're like a civilian and you reach the front line? Because in Israel, most of the people they go through military service. It's kind of part of their life, and even women here, most of them they attend military service. But in Ukraine, as I remember Ukraine, and I also lived in Ukraine, most of the people who are not specifically connected to the army service or choose this as a way of living, but most of people are not obliged, they are not obliged to be recruited to the army, and they actually never, have been in this military environment.
You know, it's a quite complicated question, but okay, I know what to reply. First of all, you have to understand that the character of this war, I think, differs much from other wars, because the level of violence, and the scale, the size of the things happening on the front line are colossal. For me, it was a shock. It was a shock because imagine that the first day I met those Americans. Okay, we met in Kiev, in center of Kiev, and they told me, "Okay, my friend, we know that there is a Russian convoy, Russian tank convoy was destroyed near Kiev. We have a task to go there and to investigate what happened there. We have no idea what's happening there. We have only bulletproof vest for you, a helmet. Okay, let's go." And can you imagine that within 3 hours, I was literally on the front line, and what I saw there, it was shocking because I saw dozens of tanks, exploded tanks with dead bodies everywhere. So, I had a zero experience on the front line. I didn't know how to react. I didn't know how to, I didn't know what to do at all. And all we had to do is to learn very quickly. So in a couple of days, I already knew outgoing and ingoing artillery. I knew how rockets sounded. I could distinguish whether it's a mortar shell landing nearby or whether it was a standard artillery shell. So you have to, the biggest rule on the front line, if you want to survive, you must learn very fast because your life completely depends on the speed of your learning how to react on everything. So it was something like you are going on a completely different school for the first time in your life. So you have to learn everything from zero.
How you just make a photography in such environment? You just point and shoot, or you try, to control the environment? Because it's much different from what you have done before, right? You cannot put people somewhere, stage the scene, it's kind of it's uncontrolled environment.
Yeah, it's completely unpredictable environment. So, okay. The thing is that you, first of all, you need to train your, let's call it, sixth sense. So you have to feel what's happening. Like one of the things I'm sorry, I like working while I'm working on the front line is that you are completely turned on into the moment. Okay, your brain turns into a supercomputer which calculates everything with the speed of light. You have to maintain this, almost telepathic feeling of what's happening around. You have to scan everything, and of course, you have to be in the moment. You can't control anything because otherwise, it won't be a documentary. It will be something different. You have to react only. You have a camera and you have to respond immediately. All your experience, it must be compressed in one spot and give you a clue what you have to do in the following moment. And afterwards, it's just a matter of your taste, of your feeling, of your reaction, of your intuition. You just respond to the moment. You can't direct anything. You can't control anything. You just go with the flow, and you have only two tasks. Well, first one is to stay alive, and the second one is to make the best of the moment.
Do you have an occasions on the front line when someone from military personnel would approach you and say, make a photo of me, make a portrait for me?
Oh, yeah. Actually, it happens quite often because sometimes soldiers, they ask me, okay, please give me this picture. I will send it to my parents, a family, whatever. Of course, there are some restrictions in shooting on the front line, but yeah, sometimes you have to please people in order to approach them. Okay, sometimes when you arrive on a place and when it's safe, when there is when you have a right mood, you can, okay, is it a big deal to make a nice portrait with a nice equipment for these soldiers who literally live in this dirty, ugly, cold trenches? If you can make them happy, of course you will do it, of course.
What's the best photography you have made during the war? Do you have kind of the most
Yeah,
you would
I
like?
have I have a picture which is actually uh, maybe nothing super special on this picture, but it was a very special moment to me. I remember the day, I will never forget it. So it was on the 6th of March. So Kiev was uh, it was not fully encircled, but they tried to encircle it. So, okay, fights were happening on the distance, maybe 10 kilometers away from Kiev. Okay, so I was on the front line, and when I came there early in the morning, there was a chaos on our positions. Why? And one of the soldiers told me that two Russian airplanes, like two bombers, they came on the very close distance and they launched a few rockets which devastated the first line of the first defense line. It was completely smashed with a series of heavy Russian rockets. So, like, lots of people died there, and there was complete chaos because you could see that there is a like a black horizon. But what happened later? When these two jets, when they launched the first portion of rockets, they came back turned around and made a second attempt to continue bombing our positions. And one of the soldiers, he was, imagine, 18-year-old boy, okay? 18 years, okay? He grabbed a very old anti-aircraft Soviet rocket, and he told me, okay, I did everything how I was taught by elders, okay? I just took it in my target. I targeted one plane, and he managed to shut down one plane. So when I came there, I came there right 20 minutes after it happened. The guy, he was standing, and his arms were trembling because he couldn't believe that he hit a Russian bomber. And I took a picture of him and his comrade with this rocket launcher right on the street. For me, it was a very remarkable big picture because, when things like that happen, when, let's say, heavy bombers appear above you and you have nothing, because aviation, aircraft is something completely different, okay? It's a hell, it's a nightmare. And once someone manages to bring down one of the airplanes, it completely changes things on the battlefield.
I would like to ask you a difficult question about the storytelling. Because I guess once you on the battlefield, you see different scenes. Yeah, sometimes you see the more victorious stance of Ukrainian army. Sometimes I guess Ukrainian army not always.
Of
Sometimes it's in a
course.
difficult situations. So for yourself, what would you do? Would you reflect what is in fact is going on, or you put kind of self censorship, imply on yourself kind of censorship? That's what for me it's interesting, and even I don't know how would I behave in such environment. What I would do.
The question is really difficult, but okay, I will answer in the following way. So at the moment, there is an official censorship, okay, on the work on the battlefield, on the front line. Personally, I don't agree with some of the methods and how it was implemented, okay? Because if you give only positive news to your audience, to Ukrainians or Israeli people, many people can think, okay, things are going really well. Everything is fine. These people of metal, they're doing their job. They can burn millions of tanks. They can shoot down thousands of planes, and they do it okay. Why should I participate in all this? Okay, things are going well. So if you ask this question to me personally, I would say that there is a huge necessity of truth, okay, of truth. But borders of this truth, I think there should be some borders of the truth. If I was personally responsible for this, for deciding what to put, what to present to audience or not, I would give audience more truth, even about some painful events on the front line. Painful events, and there are a lot of painful events on the front line, okay? Of course, I guess everyone should implement some kind of filters, but if there was less censorship, I would stress Ukrainians audience more, to be honest.
Are you trying to avoid the sense of violence or something that can, be very, let's say, hard to see, sense which, war is a war.
Yes, yeah,
What's your
personally,
approach? Would you avoid doing that? You would like,
I would honestly, I would try to show a part of it, but there are some journalists who are like, who are like vultures, who have this strange taste for shocking people. Shock therapy, it makes sense. It makes sense. It helps to to keep people sober. to keep them in the moment, keep them not forgetting what's happening on the front line. But violence for the sake of violence, it's also like a not proper way of showing things, because, yeah, death is the main topic of every war, okay? It's not about peace. It's only about death and blood. Sorry, but it's true. But from the other hand, when I saw dozens of dead bodies of civilians torn apart by Russian rockets, for me it was a heartbreaking moment, because all these people, they are my sisters, they are my brothers, fathers, and mothers. But I can imagine what it would be to show these graphic pictures to the audience. So we have enough of stress. I guess 99% of the current population of Ukraine have post-traumatic syndrome. It's for sure. There is no need to provoke these hard emotions for them, but from the other point of view, it's also a huge mistake to keep your audience in a warm bathroom, in a warm bath, to send these messages that everything is all right. Yeah, our people are terminators. They can't survive No, it's not. People are people, and everyone, especially on the front line, has his own borders, has his own, capacity of strength and, of character.
We are talking with you after Ukraine is at war for a few years. Ukrainian people, are they tired of the war? Are they ready to keep on as long as it takes?
Now we are getting to a very, very, hard stage of war. From one point of view, it would be a huge mistake to start some negotiations with Russia and to and try to fulfill their completely crazy desires. At the moment, it's impossible to surrender, because if we will surrender, we will all finish our days in camps somewhere in Siberia. This is 1,000,000%. No one, questions this. We are dealing with a terroristic, absolutely crazy and fascist state. From the other point of view, it's getting harder and harder to recruit people, to live in this constant stress, to live without electricity, to live with the idea of complete absence of future. It's so hard to live a normal, civilized life when you have no tomorrow, when you live like an animal day by day, when you go to bed and think to yourself, okay, I survived another day, okay, this is a huge achievement. But can you measure a human life with only desire to survive another day? I'm not sure, to be honest. So we are getting to a very, very, dangerous and controversial crossroad. Some people are really tired, especially those fighting in the trenches for the third year, okay? And this war, again, it's the scale of this war, it's beyond imagination. Because let's say I worked on the front line, it was 2023, when in a small portion of the front line, let's say 500 meters, Russians shelled it with more than 400 heavy artillery shells a day. So it's like it's a desert. It's a burned down desert. So from one point of view, people want to change something. From the other point of view, it's obvious that it's impossible, almost impossible, to negotiate with these butchers and maniacs. They are maniacs. In fact, they are maniacs. It's not because I'm Ukrainian and I don't like Russia. It's crystal clear that it's almost There is there is no one to communicate from the other side. But again, our resources, our people, our strength is not endless. Is not endless. This is true. That's true.
You're about to have an exhibition on the 4th of November, in the 4th of November, and what message would like you to convey to the people of Israel? Because, things changed in Israel. We are also currently having a war. As we are speaking, we are, in fact, more than 1 year into the war. I would say, like, when it was 2 years ago, like, all the news in Israel were all concentrated on Ukraine. People were always checking news about Ukraine, every movement of Russian forces, Ukrainian forces. But then, as the war goes and goes on, like, people switch their attention to different topics, and this is natural. And especially for the last year, we are by ourselves, not in that easy situation. And I am also sitting in the shelter, and we had a few times ballistic rockets flying over our head here. Not a pleasant experience. So, in these circumstances, what message would you like to convey to the people who will attend your exhibition?
If I had more space, let's say, on this event, I would my biggest message would be following. So by showing these absolutely unnecessary ruins and wars, I would first of all, I would like people to think about what they have at the moment and what they can lose tomorrow. Okay, because most of the people, they don't value and they don't appreciate what they have. They start thinking about their culture, about their identity, about their parents, about their nation, people, symbols, only when they are in danger. Okay, only when they are in a threat. So I don't think that I can show something, extremely unusual to Israeli audience, because actually you are a year in active war, but everyone knows that Israel lives constantly in this stage of war. Okay, I will send this message to our friends from the West, because I have the feeling that they will be following to start losing something. Okay, but it's another topic, different conversation. Coming back to my exhibition, my first message would be, okay, look at Ukraine, look at us. We still hold on despite everything, and we won't surrender. And we will never do it, because we know what to expect from these people. So my biggest message to Israeli people will be the same. Just appreciate what you have. Stand still. Just don't forget who you are and where you came from, and what's the value of your freedom, what's the value of your well-being, what's the value of the fact that you can use electricity 24 hours a day, because in normal conditions you will never think about it. But once it's gone, you start appreciating more. Okay, so the biggest message to Israeli people will be, guys, stand still. You have to go through it. You have to be victorious in these tough conditions.
Yeah, Stanislav
Can you hear me?
Sтрелец, thank you very much for this conversation. And guys, the exhibition is on the 4th of November, and I will, of course, put the details below this video, and you could attend, and I recommend you to attend the exhibition. And of course, on the first day of the opening, you will meet also myself. So just let's get engaged there. And again, thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, Alex, it was a pleasure for me to speak with you. Okay, cheers, Israel. I hope to visit your beautiful country once everything is over. Okay.
Sure, we are waiting for you.